It was a quiet evening. I had just returned from work, tired and hungry. Our small village was peaceful, and the sun was setting behind the hills. I locked the door of my little house and went to check the shed where we kept firewood and old tools. Something felt strange. The door, which I had locked that morning, was slightly open. I frowned. Who could be here? I whispered to myself. I stepped closer, my heart beating fast. Inside the shed, I saw a figure. At first, I thought it was a stranger looking for trouble. But then, I realized he was a young soldier, hiding behind the stacked wood. His uniform was torn, and he looked exhausted. I didn't mean to scare you, he said softly. His voice was calm, but his eyes were full of fear. I was confused. Soldiers did not usually hide in sheds near our village. Why are you here? I asked. My unit, my friends, they are gone. I just need a place to rest, he explained. He looked honest, but I was still suspicious. I didn't know him. What if he was dangerous? I went back to the house and locked the door behind me. I thought about calling the police, but something inside me told me he was just a scared young man. I brought him some water and bread. He ate quietly and looked very weak. Days passed, and I noticed strange things. I heard whispers outside at night, footsteps in the garden. I started to feel scared and suspicious of everyone, even my neighbors. My husband, Samir, also noticed the tension. But I couldn't tell him everything. I was afraid he might make a big mistake. One night, I found the soldier sleeping in the shed. He looked peaceful, but my mind was full of questions. Who was he? Why was he hiding here? And most importantly, was he dangerous or just another lost soul in this world? Little did I know, this small secret would soon shake my life and test trust, love, and betrayal in ways I could never imagine. Over time, I started talking to the soldier more. His name was Armin. He told me stories about the war, about his friends, and how he had lost hope. Listening to him made me feel sad and connected. I felt something I had never felt before, a strange care for someone outside my marriage. Samir, my husband, was kind but often busy with his work. He loved me, but our life was routine and sometimes lonely. Armin, with his stories and vulnerability, filled a gap I didn't know existed. I felt guilty thinking about him, but I couldn't stop. One rainy evening, Armin came inside the house. I don't want to be in the shed tonight. I'm cold, he said quietly. I hesitated. My heart raced. Should I let him stay inside? I told myself it was only to keep him safe. As the days went by, our conversations became longer. He shared his fears, his dreams, and I shared mine. It felt like he understood me in a way Samir didn't. Every time he looked at me, I felt warmth, but also guilt. One night, Samir asked me why I seemed distant. I smiled, but my heart ached. I couldn't tell him the truth. Armin was hiding in the shed, yes, but he had also hidden in my heart. The guilt grew heavier every day. I wanted to help him, but I also didn't want to betray my husband. My mind was a storm of emotions: fear, care, excitement, and guilt. I knew this secret couldn't last forever. Then came the day Armin needed more than just food and shelter. He was injured during a skirmish nearby. I had to hide him in my house. The shed was not enough. I carried him to a small room, cleaned his wounds, and helped him rest. Watching him in pain, I realized how deep my care had grown. I told myself, this is only human kindness. But deep inside, I knew it was more. The line between kindness and something forbidden was blurring. One evening, Samir returned home early from work. I was cleaning the room where Armin was hidden. My hands trembled. I knew if Samir found out, it would be the end of trust between us. Why are you so nervous? Samir asked, looking at me closely. I forced a smile. Just tired, I said. But he didn't look convinced. Later that night, I heard a noise. Armin had left the room, trying to sneak out. I stopped him. Where are you going? I whispered. He shook his head. I can't stay here anymore. It's dangerous for you and your husband. The next day, Samir noticed something strange in the shed. Footprints, broken wood, and a small piece of Armin's uniform. His eyes darkened with suspicion. I panicked. Who has been in our shed? Samir demanded. I froze. I couldn't tell him. I lied, saying maybe it was the neighbor's children. Samir didn't fully believe me, but he let it go for now. My heart was heavy. I loved Samir, but my feelings for Armin were real. I had never imagined I could care for someone else while married. Every smile, every conversation with Armin made me feel alive, but guilty at the same time. I knew the secret couldn't last. And then it happened. One evening, Samir caught Armin leaving the shed. Armin froze and I froze too. Samir's eyes were full of hurt, anger, and disbelief. How could you hide this from me? Samir shouted. I tried to explain, but the words stuck in my throat. Armin didn't speak either. The truth was heavier than any punishment. Samir's trust was broken. Our house, once full of peace, was now full of tension. I realized that even though I didn't do anything physically wrong, hiding a secret, caring for someone else emotionally, was enough to break love. After the confrontation, Armin left the village. Samir and I didn't speak much at first. Silence filled our house. I felt regret and guilt every day. I realized that my actions, even with good intentions, had caused pain to the person I truly loved. Days turned into weeks. Samir slowly began to talk to me again. He wanted to understand, not just punish. I explained everything: my fear, my loneliness, my care for Armin. I told him I never wanted to betray him physically, only emotionally, and that I had learned a lesson about honesty and trust. We started to rebuild our relationship slowly, step by step. It was not easy. Trust takes time to grow after betrayal. But I promised myself never to hide a secret again. And I promised Samir to communicate openly, no matter how difficult the truth might be. I often thought of Armin, the young soldier. I hoped he was safe. I didn't regret helping him, but I regretted letting feelings grow that could harm my marriage. Life taught me a hard lesson. Caring for someone is human, but keeping secrets in love is dangerous. Months later, our house felt alive again. Samir and I laughed, shared small joys, and slowly healed together. The shed was repaired and empty. No more secrets, no more hiding. Only honesty, care, and lessons learned. The moral of the story: secrets, even when meant to help, can hurt the ones you love. Honesty and trust are the true foundations of any relationship. Emotional care outside your commitments must never replace the love you promised.